All right, let's be real. The Costco freezer aisle is a glorious, overwhelming, and sometimes dangerous place. You walk in just planning to grab milk and eggs, and suddenly you're staring at a 5-pound box of bacon-wrapped something or other, wondering if it's going to change your Tuesday night dinner game forever, or just take up permanent residence in the back of your freezer until you throw it out 2 years from now, during a spring cleaning panic. We've all been there. We've all bought that giant box of regret. And honestly, with grocery prices being what they are right now, nobody has the time or the money to waste on bad frozen food. You buy in bulk, you lose in bulk if it's terrible. That's exactly why I did the heavy lifting and the heavy eating to rank the definitive list of the frozen food situation at Costco right now. We are going to cut through the noise and identify the 5 absolute best items that deserve that precious freezer real estate, and the 5 worst offenders you need to walk right past. We're saving your wallet and your taste buds today. Before we dive into the Freezer Burn Hall of Fame, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It really helps get this video out to other Costco shoppers who need saving from a bad dinner. We're going to rip the Band-Aid off first. We're starting with the worst. These are the items that look amazing on the glossy box photo. Maybe they even smell okay when you first start cooking them, but ultimately, they deliver pure disappointment. Do not put these in your huge metal cart. First on our list of the worst is the Kirkland Signature grass-fed beef patties. Now I know what you're thinking. Grass-fed sounds premium, and it's Costco, so the price per patty is usually pretty decent. You want these to be the answer for those spontaneous summer cookouts, but the reality is just sad. The biggest issue here is the ewer and the incredible shrinking act they perform. You throw these on the grill and they shrink down significantly, often ending up looking more like a hockey puck than a burger. And honestly, they kind of taste like one too. They tend to be incredibly dry, no matter how carefully you cook them or to what temperature. They lack that juicy, beefy flavor you really want in a burger. You end up having to drown them in cheese, special sauce, and pickles just to make them palatable. There are much better fresh meat options in the back of the store. Skip these frozen pucks. Second on the do not buy list is the Ajinomoto yakisoba with vegetables. This one is such a huge bummer because the picture on the bag looks absolutely incredible. Saucy, thick noodles, vibrant, colorful veggies. It screams, easy, delicious weeknight dinner in 10 minutes. But when you actually heat it up in the microwave or on the stovetop, it's a totally different story. The primary complaint here is blandness. It is shockingly lacking in flavor for a yakisoba dish. You expect that savory, slightly sweet, tangy umami kick that makes stir-fry so addictive. But you mostly just get oily noodles and vegetables that turn completely mushy during the reheating process. You end up having to add so much soy sauce, sesame oil, and sriracha from your own pantry just to wake it up that it completely defeats the purpose of buying a quick, pre-seasoned meal. It's just boring, and life is way too short for boring noodles. Third on our countdown of freezer failures are the Tyson Panko breaded chicken breast tenderloins. You'd think it would be pretty hard to mess up a chicken tender, especially when you introduce delicious panko breading into the mix. But somehow, these manage it. While the outside can get decently crispy if you use an air fryer, the chicken inside is often incredibly disappointing. A lot of people, myself included, have run into major ewer issues here. We're talking rubbery, sometimes weirdly stringy, or that dreaded woody chicken ewer that just ruins your appetite immediately. Furthermore, these things are absolute salt bombs. It often feels like you're eating more sodium and heavy breading than actual quality chicken meat. There is a vastly superior breaded chicken option coming up later on the best list that blows these out of the water. So definitely leave these Tyson ones sitting in the freezer case. Fourth is practically a tragedy for die-hard Costco superfans, the frozen Kirkland Signature chicken bakes. Look, we all love the chicken bake at the food court. It's a legendary $3.99 tube of hot, cheesy, Caesar dressing-infused perfection. So naturally, buying a box to have at home whenever the craving strikes seems like a complete no-brainer. But beware. This is the ultimate catfish product. The frozen version is a pale, sad imitation of the real thing you get fresh at the exit. The crust never gets that right combination of crispy on the outside and chewy on the inside. It usually ends up either rock hard or oddly doughy and tough. But the real crime is the filling. It's often dry, incredibly bland, and shockingly sparse. The ratio of thick bread to actual filling is way off, and it just doesn't capture the magic of the fresh one. Do yourself a massive favor. Save the freezer space and just buy it fresh on your way out of the store. And fifth, the absolute worst frozen food item you need to avoid at Costco right now is the Kirkland Signature farmed Atlantic salmon portions. I know the appeal here. It's incredibly convenient to have individual pre-cut fish portions ready to go for a healthy weeknight meal. But the quality drop-off from fresh salmon to this frozen product is staggering. The biggest issue here is water content and yaw. Because of how it's processed and frozen, when you thaw and cook this salmon, it releases a ton of water. This means it ends up steaming itself in the pan, resulting in a mushy, spongy yaw rather than nice, flaky layers. It's almost impossible to get a good sear on it because of the excess moisture. It also tends to have a much stronger, fishier odor and taste than fresh salmon, which is usually a sign you don't want to be eating it. When you're dealing with seafood, don't gamble on the cheap frozen stuff. It ruins the meal every time. So those are the 5 freezer disasters you absolutely need to avoid. Seriously, if you have them in your giant cart right now, go put them back. I'll wait. But listen, it's not all bad news. We are about to pivot to the stuff that is actually worth your hard-earned cash. We're talking items that taste homemade, save you tons of time, and are genuinely better than ordering takeout. Before we get into the top 5 best items in the next part of this video, if you're enjoying this honest breakdown and want to avoid future grocery store regret, make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on so you don't miss out on the good stuff. You guys ready for the winners? Let's switch gears. Now that we've cleared out the don't buy clutter from your freezer, it's time for the good stuff. These are the legendary finds that make a Costco membership worth every penny. These are the items you'll find yourself craving on a Tuesday night when the thought of actually cooking makes you want to crawl into bed. We are counting down from number 5 to the top spot, and honestly, any of these could be a winner, depending on your mood. First off, our best list is the Kirkland Signature Tempura Shrimp. This is a massive 30-count box that feels like a total steal. If you've ever ordered tempura at a Japanese restaurant and wondered how they get it so light and airy, this is the closest you're going to get at home. The secret here is the air fryer. If you put these in the oven, they're okay. But in the air fryer, they become absolutely elite. The batter stays incredibly crispy and light without being greasy. And unlike a lot of frozen breaded shrimp, the shrimp inside are actually decent-sized and snappy, not mushy. It even comes with those little soy-based dipping sauce packets that balance the savory crunch perfectly. It's the ultimate fancy appetizer, or a great way to level up a basic bowl of ramen. Second, we have a true fan favorite, the Bibigo steamed dumplings. You'll usually find these in a box of 6 individual trays, which is the peak of convenience. Each tray is its own little microwavable steamer, so you don't even have to dirty a dish. In just 2 minutes, you have these pillowy, juicy dumplings filled with chicken or pork and veggies. They are surprisingly flavorful and have a decent amount of broth inside. Not quite a traditional soup dumpling, but definitely juicier than your average pot sticker. They are the perfect quick lunch or late-night snack. Pro tip: if you want to be extra, drizzle a little chili crisp or sesame oil over them right in the tray. It's a total game changer. Before we hit the top 3, I have to ask, what is the one Costco frozen item you absolutely swear by? Drop it in the comments below because I'm always looking for new things to try, and I know you guys have some secret favorites I might have missed. And if you haven't yet, make sure to share this video with your fellow Costco-obsessed friends so they don't miss out on these gems. Third is a heavy hitter for family dinner, the Kirkland Signature Italian sausage and beef lasagna. This comes in a twin pack of 3-pound trays, and it is a beast. Frozen lasagna can often be a watery, bland mess, but Costco really nailed the recipe on this one. It's packed with actual meat, zesty sausage and ground beef, and the ricotta is rich and creamy rather than chalky. The sauce has that slow-simmered flavor that makes people genuinely ask if you made it from scratch. It takes about an hour in the oven, so it's not an instant meal, but for the quality and the price point, you really can't beat it. It's the perfect thing to have in the freezer for those nights when you need a real meal, but have zero energy to prep anything. Fourth, and taking the next spot, is the product that basically broke the internet a couple of years ago and is still a reigning champ, the Just Bare lightly breaded chicken breast chunks, or the newer Kirkland Signature version, which is just as good. These are famous for being a dead ringer for Chick-fil-A nuggets. They use actual pieces of chicken breast, not that reconstituted stuff, and the breading is light, peppery, and perfectly seasoned. Again, the air fryer is your best friend here. They come out juicy on the inside and perfectly golden and crispy on the outside. Pair them with some waffle fries and a side of honey mustard, and you've just saved yourself a trip to the drive-thru and about $20. They are consistently high quality, and it's one of those items that justifies the entire cost of the membership on its own. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the Costco freezer section. Fifth, and taking the #1 spot is the Motor City Pizza Co. Double pepperoni Detroit-style deep dish pizza. This isn't just good for frozen pizza. It is legitimately better than most delivery places in your neighborhood. What makes this so special is the engineering of the pizza itself. It comes in its own individual cardboard baking tray that allows the cheese to melt down the sides and caramelize against the crust, creating that legendary Frico edge that Detroit-style pizza is known for. The crust is thick and airy, almost like focaccia, with a bottom that gets buttery and crispy while the middle stays light and fluffy. And they don't skimp on the toppings. You get traditional pepperoni slices plus those tiny little pepperoni cubes that crisp up into savory little flavor bombs. It is a restaurant-quality experience for a fraction of the price, and it has absolutely earned its cult favorite status. If you see it, buy 2 because it sells out fast. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to give you a couple of pro tips for navigating the freezer section because, as we've seen, it can be a minefield. First, let's talk about the air fryer rule. Almost every single item on the best list today, the tempura shrimp, the chicken chunks, the dumplings, goes from a 7 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 if you use an air fryer instead of a conventional oven or microwave. The high-velocity heat is the only way to mimic that deep-fried crunch that these frozen foods are designed to have. If you're still microwaving your frozen snacks, you're essentially leaving half the flavor on the table. Second, let's talk about the freezer burn factor. Because Costco sells everything in such massive quantities, the biggest enemy of your food isn't the expiration date. It's the air inside the bag once you've opened it. For things like the chicken chunks or the shrimp, do yourself a favor and invest in some high-quality freezer bags. Don't just clip the giant original bag and toss it back in. Portion them out, squeeze the air out, and your best list items will stay tasting fresh for months instead of weeks. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the rubbery disappointment of those grass-fed beef patties to the crispy, cheesy perfection of the Motor City Pizza. The theme here is clear. Costco excels when they focus on newer and high-quality ingredients, but they sometimes stumble when they try to replicate complex fresh items like the food court chicken bakes or high-moisture proteins like farmed salmon. Being a savvy Costco shopper is all about knowing when to go for the convenience and when to stick to the fresh department. I really hope this saves you some money and a few bad dinners on your next haul. If you found this ranking helpful, please hit that share button. Send it to that one friend who is always bringing the weirdest frozen appetizers to the potluck. You might be doing everyone a favor, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. We do these deep dives into the best and worst of our favorite stores every single week, and I'd love to have you back for the next one. So what's the verdict? Are you Team Motor City Pizza, or do you think the lasagna deserves the top spot? And more importantly, did I miss a worst item that you absolutely hate? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. I read as many as I can, and your feedback usually ends up being the inspiration for my next video. Thanks so much for watching, thanks for being part of this community, and I will see you all in the next one. Happy shopping!